What is good, everybody? Welcome back to our final episode of Around the Corner. It's Dee. I'm here. I'm hosting again. And we have Kxng Wooz in the building. Say hi to the people, Kxng Wooz.
Hi, everybody.
This is good. This is good. I'm very excited to have you here. And I'm excited for your performance coming up in a couple of weeks, coming up on the Orange Corner. It's going to be dope. But before we get into this interview, I didn't tell you about this part, my guy, but we're going to play a game. We're going to play a game of song association.
Okay, enlighten me. What's the rules?
Okay, so the rules are, I'm going to give you 3 words because we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it short. 3 words. When I give you the word, you have to sing or rap the song that has that word in the title or in the lyrics. And you have 10 seconds.
How smart, how sharp do you think I am?
I guess we're about to find out.
Okay, I'm down. I'm with it.
Okay. So your first word is party.
See, I hate this. Party. Oh, man. Why? Oh, I can't think of the flow of it. I don't know. I failed that one.
Wow.
It was a Dom Kennedy song, too.
Wow.
My type of party. That's it. Jeez. And I couldn't even sing it.
Over time, my guy. I'm sorry.
Told you I'm not.
It's okay. You got 2 more rounds. And time to redeem yourself.
Okay. Now I'm starting to think in that, you know?
Okay.
If I don't get this one, I'll get the third one for sure.
Absolutely. I think you get the third one.
We'll try.
We'll see.
We'll get
the
this one.
Second word is look.
Oh, Major, look. You a slave to a page in my rhyme book. Got you. See? Nah, it's right there.
Period. See? I knew you would recover.
Had to. Thank you.
You got it.
Look, it's me. Come on. I'm actually not that type of person. Sorry.
It's okay. We know you're humble. It's just for now. It's just for the vibes. You got 1 more word to go. Your last word is shade.
I got nothing for shade. So.
It's okay. You got 1 out of 3.
33%. I'm good with that.
And I think that's okay. I think we did all right. So, Kxng Wooz, we're going to get right into this interview. You know, let the people hear what they want to know. They're curious about you. I actually have a question that I've never asked you before.
I'm open to that. Yeah.
My question for you is, do you remember the first time you heard hip hop?
No.
Really?
It's always been in my life. It's like trying to remember when you met your first best friend, you know? Like,
that's wild.
It's like it's always been there.
Do you remember like the first artist you heard that made you think like, I want to do that? Yeah,
DMX. It's funny because like when people ask me that, I'm like, yeah, like DMX is like the first artist I heard, and I was like, oh damn, that album. Sorry, language, but I was like 8 or 9 and listening to Party Up, and people were like, that's like the first song. You were like, yeah. I was like, yeah. So it's funny when people are like, that's kind of young for DMX, and now I look back, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have been listening to DMX at that age. I didn't turn out bad though. He is also like one of the best artists ever in terms of like being a complete human throughout his music. He's going to give you the good, the bad, and ugly, which I always liked in DMX. RIPX.
That's facts. I agree. And don't feel bad because you weren't the only one listening to DMX when you were severely underage.
Exactly.
Me too. Thanks to my dad.
He knew what he was doing.
Listen, the CD was there, and I was like, who's that guy? My dad was like, you're too young. But I had a CD player, so I snuck the CD anyway. Secret's out.
Boom. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, like, my bad. But I didn't end up any type of way either, so, you know, it's all right. We did good.
Decent.
So you, like back in the day, you were putting together these ciphers. You were doing a lot of community work. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about that a little bit. What inspired you to do that? And what were some things that came from those events that you were doing?
My creation as an artist came from that, but what inspired that was like for a long time I've been writing music, and I started that back in 2007 is when I really started writing music. But ever since then, I was like really wanting to do it. Throughout high school, I played basketball, played football. Had an injury, couldn't play football anymore. Had to take it easy on basketball, and never really recovered properly from that injury. So music has helped me cope from that. So going into that, I just stayed with it, stuck with it. Then moving forward, I was just like, with the creation of Raw Cypher was like, I couldn't get any shows. No one was booking me for shows, so I was like, I'm gonna create my own because got tired of sitting on the sideline for that kind of stuff. And then it just formulated that growth and the expansion into the community, really bringing people together to share those stages together, from like people like myself that wasn't getting booked for shows to artists like Critty, Realize, Nyx, people that have been around for a while. I think like Quakes came through for those kind of things, and like we have such amazing talent from like top to bottom coming together with all types of artists of all experiences. People in the crowd that wouldn't usually rap, but it was like, oh, I love the vibe, so giving the microphone kind of stuff. And I think the best thing that came out of that was the community and like the coming togetherness and tightening that grips on what Halifax hip hop actually is, and how hip hop works in any kind of setting where it's like people will stop, watch, stare, and participate with hip hop before I think any other genre. Yeah.
That's dope. I love that. I love how you mentioned community because I know a lot of people will say like hip hop and rap can be like an aggressive genre. So people won't think of community when they think of hip hop and rap, but it's tight knit. You know, if you think about, I don't know, even when I got introduced to the music business, one of the first groups of people I got connected to was Sipset, right? And,
Sippy.
you know, Sipset, I should have worn my jersey, but, you know, we love you guys. But yeah, like I got connected to Sipset and I ain't even a rapper. I was just in the mix, you know, and Sipset is more than just a group of rappers or lyricists, but it's everybody that appreciates what Sipset does, right? And so there is a community in the genre. So I really like how you mentioned that.
Yeah, we're like Sipset's a collective, and like you said, you don't have to be an artist or a rapper to be a part of that kind of like in hip hop in general. Like there's so many different ways to be a part of hip hop, to be a part of the culture. And yeah, with Sipset specifically, I think we just move in that, we push in that direction of like, if you're rocking with us, if you have good intent, if you appreciate art, you can be a part of that thing, right? So it's like all carrying forward good energy, positive people, like-minded individuals.
We love it. I think it definitely adds to the music scene for sure and shows a different side of, I think, what people would define as local music around here. And so it's important, all that work that you've been doing for a long time, and you've been in the game for a minute. And so I want to ask you, what are some highs and lows that you've had throughout your journey in the music industry?
I'll start out with the lows, and I think the lows for me were, or still are, is always battling with not always seeing myself as equal to other artists and comparing myself to other artists and looking at what I create and be like, this ain't good enough, this ain't good enough. Like, I want this to sound like this, but then I realize you draw back and you're like, just do you. You got to do you, because if you stay stuck on comparing yourself to one another and saying I want to be like this person, you're not gonna be who you're supposed to be. So like the lows for me is staying out of my own head and not comparing myself with other people, which is a hard thing because you want to do your complete best when you do whatever it is you do, especially with art that is personal.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes hard to even like be like, okay, I'm going to release a song. And then you hold off and like, what are people going to think about it? And you get in your head about, oh, are people going to like it? What are they going to say? Is this one better than the last one? Is it going to be, You know, is it going to be the one to pop in? Like, so you hold off on pulling the trigger, and that's another low in itself. Is
Right.
like trying to really figure out, when do I do it? Do I do it now? Do I do it later? All that kind of stuff.
Right. That
Yeah.
pressure.
So yeah, that's like, those are the lows, and finding those momentum and that motivation to continue to write. Highs, let's see. The high right now was winning this year's 2021 Artist in Residency with Music Nova Scotia. Finally feeling recognized for what I do was a great feeling.
Yes, sir.
It was powerful. Had my family there, my kids with me on stage. You know, like, just enough motivation to push me forward and be reassured in what I'm doing and that I'm on the right path, even with all the like pit stops along the way, like taking time off to start UNI, taking time off to help other artists. I like, this past November, I did a writing retreat with a lot of dope artists, and like there's established artists that were there. There's artists that were just coming up, but it was really good to spend 6 days in a cottage pretty much with these artists and see how everybody creates. And it wasn't just hip hop artists, and it wasn't just producers or rappers. It was like everybody coming together. It was really great. So like stuff like that, those are the highs for me. It was like really getting to meet with people and also feeling appreciated and recognized for the things that I do.
I love it. I think that's good. You know, there's always balance in those things. And so I think for a lot of artists, I would say, because I don't consider you an emerging artist, even though you just became the artist in residence. Like, you're not an emerging artist. You've been around for a period of time. You've been doing this thing for a while. And so there's a lot of artists who look up to you. And to hear you say those things, you know, these are things that I also hear them saying about ways that they struggle, or things that they have a hard time with as an emerging artist. And so I find that really levels up the playing field, in the sense of, you know, you're not inhuman just because you've been doing something for a long time, or because you have a title associated with your name now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like that. You know, it's good to be real.
No, and that's it. And it's like, I think when people look at artists of different calibers, when they say they're, a local artist, or emerging artist, or a mainstream artist, they strip the title of them being human. And you're like, oh, they're perfect. Everything they do is like, it's spot on. But even though to get to that point, you don't know how many pieces of paper they crumpled up, how many times they were like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm done. I'm like, this project ain't getting finished. You know why? Because I'm having a hard time with this part. And like,
Right.
it's the perseverance that people don't see. It's they see the end result, right? They're not there at the beginning, at the training camp. They're there at the end of the race. So it's like, the perception, I think, really needs to change of how people view music and how they view artists, and just like give them back that humanity, that like, oh, they're just a human on an everyday level, you know, like,
Yeah.
got to wake up, start your day somehow, and just because they're at a different point, it doesn't make them any different than you. Just they have a different path.
No, that's real. So, you know, talking about the residency that you now have as Music Nova Scotia's artist in residence, you know, what does that mean to you? You already talked about what that moment like felt like for you, but what does that mean to you?
Actually, it's funny because I actually don't know what that means, you know? Like, you obviously know what it means by definitions. Like, there's the support that they give and working with the lighthouse and things like that. For me, it means that there's more work to do, because that's not the end goal. And not trying to feel like complacent or accomplished, because it's a great accomplishment, but it's not my end goal. So it means that there's a lot more work to do for me. A lot more. So
Someone told me before that the reward for good work is more work. So I guess you got the right mindset. It's true.
it is. And at first it was like, oh shit, it's like a little intimidating, and it's like you got to draw it back and be like, you know what, this is actually what I want because of the fact that I've worked to get to this point. I've worked to get to a point before that, and then it's like, I remember, I think it was like 2012, 2011 kind of thing, and I was thinking about, I was like, I never played on that stage before. I want to play on that stage. And I think the stage was the marquee, and it's like, okay, now where do I go from there? Do I want to sell out Scotia Bank Center? You like, like those are the goals. Like you got to set like those little goals. It's like get from this stage to that stage, from this project to that project. So when in the artist in residency, helped me realize like there's more work to do. This is a great accomplishment. It's a pat yourself on the back and keep on moving. You can't go lay on the beach too long.
Right. That's dope. I like that you said that, because I think what I see happening a lot is people can get really caught up in the local context, and their goal is to make it big back home. But there's always another level that you can reach if you want to go to that level. And so knowing that, things don't have to stop at a certain place. Things don't have to stop here. Things don't have to stop at community clout,
Yeah.
It encourages people, because there's always better to be seen, better to be done, and there's more that you can achieve, right? And I think that it breaks a lot of ceilings. It really opens a lot of doors for people. So good on you for knowing that there is more and pursuing that and not being intimidated by it, because it can be intimidating trying to advance. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do because you're like, what do I do differently going forward? And it's not like I said, that thing where it's like try to be like somebody else, but like how do I be better than yesterday? And it's just that keep working thing. And real life is real life, and we all can't just stop and do our passion on a full scale at this point. For me at least, I still got to work to bring in like the real money. But like really assessing my time and really putting that dedication into the time that I do have to work on it, right? So,
yeah. Like, how do you find balance? Because you got like a job, and you have a family. You're making music. How do you find balance? That's not easy.
I don't. I just look at like I take it a day at a time, like because just like you never know. I never know what's gonna come up in the run of a day, right? Like I know I'm at work from this time to this time, so when I get home, it could be like supper time. The kids want to do something, all that kind of stuff, and then it might be 2 or 3 hours before I go to bed, start something or make sure I finish that thing before I call it a night. I don't know. It's just I think the balance is being comfortable off balance. For me, that's like what it is for me, for sure.
I like that. I think that's a good perspective. So, we're talking about the music industry a little bit already and some things that you've experienced. But I want to know your perspective on how you think it's changed over time, or if it's changed at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Are we specifically here in Halifax or in general?
Yeah, let's be local about it.
Local about it, okay. I look at it as it has changed. And not to be, like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it too much, but I find that it's been hard seeing, like, the industry change in that way because it's like, it's always been there. Like, there's always been hip-hop artists here. I'm going to speak from my side of the industry. So, like, seeing like artists that have been doing such good things for a long time and not getting recognition has been hard. And then watching like the music industry champion one artist every so often and then being like, okay, cool, we're done with that, and not really pursuing that artist and like boosting it up. I just don't, here in Halifax, I don't think it's recognized that hip hop is the number one music and like genre in the world. Like I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, Black culture is the most profitable thing on this planet almost.
Yeah.
in terms of like intellectual property. And I find Nova Scotia is way behind on that in terms of like tapping into the resources and the potential of it. And it needs a change. I would like to see a lot of older generations that dealt with hip hop, like James McQuaid, like come back and put and take that and mold it in a way. Like I remember when the ED position was open for Music Nova Scotia, I was like, oh man, it would be so cool to see someone like Lindell Smith that has put a lot into the music community, hip hop community, like go in there and try to shake things up. Of course, he was counselor at the time, but like, you know, like seeing people that really cared about the industry and how music was created and quality music step in. So it has changed a bit. It is opening up and people are recognizing it within these like Music Nova Scotia, East Coast Music Association. But yeah, it's changing. I'd like to see more black faces represent hip hop in Nova
Facts.
Scotia.
Facts.
But yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there.
One show at a time, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So like what contributions are you hoping to make in the industry? Like what does impact look like to you?
Quality. I think I want my purpose to be quality. And so other people see it and see like, okay, whenever he did his thing, he made sure that it was what he wanted to put out and not what I think is supposed to go out. And being comfortable with being different from everybody else. Because I find, especially with young artists, they have that thing where it's like, what, Dirk's doing this, so we got to sound like this. Let's follow that wave, which is fine, which is cool. You know, you got to experiment. You got to be something you're not to find out who you are. You got to try all kinds of different things. But really, like, the quality and, like, the voice of your own. I just really want people to see that. That's the impact I want to leave behind. I just want people to look back and say, yeah, to the end, he was him.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say that I think you're doing a great job with that for sure.
Thank you.
I mean, when you did your performance for the residency, I was one of the judges, and I'd seen you perform many times. I'd been to like your album release and all that sort of stuff. So like I'd seen you on stage before, so I already knew that it was going to be a great performance. I personally think that you have one of the best stage presences. I don't know, but you have really great stage presence for hip hop artists. And so I was already looking forward to it. And then I saw all these instruments come out, and I was like, "Who's this for?"
Yeah, I had to bring a band with me.
I was like, "I know this is not for Martez." What the hey? Blew my mind, and I was like, "This guy just went from like here to here," and I think it really showed your versatility as an artist. Not many hip hop artists I've seen here at home. I haven't seen many of them perform with live instruments. And I love when hip hop artists perform with live instruments, because for me, that's one of my favorite parts is just hearing all the different like pure sounds of an instrument, not just like making beats and whatnot. Although like we love a good beat, but
100%.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know, maybe it's because I played in orchestras my whole life, but I love the sound of a good instrument. Like I was a band kid, so when I hear like trumpets and stuff, like I love that. It's such a pure sound, and you know, it kind of takes me back to like the older days. Like I listened to a lot of Tribe Called Quest and whatnot, right? So, and they used a lot of instruments in their beats and whatnot. So I love that sound. So when I saw that, I was like, this guy just raised the bar. What?
Yeah, it was unique. So like, shout out to Superfluid for one, because they hold me down, and I've played my last few shows with them, and it's been great. But going into playing with a live band was really a game changer in terms of like the quality of sound you get, the quality of expression as well, because when you just have backing tracks, it's you in a perfect thing. It's it's so perfect that you have to stay with that. That thing
Yeah,
that thing doesn't move, it doesn't shift, it
that's
doesn't
good.
mold.
Yeah.
But when you're up there with the band, like you feed off of one another, and the energies match. If you start to pick it up, they pick it up with you. If you slow it down, they can slow it down with you. And I look at it as like lungs, because like it flexes, it moves, it breathes, and like your music can do that sonically, but where if it's a perfect track, you don't really get that much time in between. You can drag some things out, but then you have to catch up. But with those live instruments, it just gives a whole different element, especially when you have very talented musicians playing with you. Yeah, it's next level.
Absolutely. It's probably hard, like performing with a band, and then if you have to just do like a performance of tracks, it's probably hard to go back and forth. Do you find that it's a difficult like transition?
It isn't a difficult transition, but it is very different in terms of like playing like 6 or 7 shows straight with a band and then going back to like backing tracks. It's like, okay,
I
because
think
there's no
musician,
energy coming back from behind it. Sorry.
right. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say it's almost like when you're playing with a band, there's more of an experience attached to it. I don't know, when you hear sounds just like live, there's just a different experience that you have. And then probably if you go back to performing with tracks, you're probably trying to recreate that. And like you said, with a perfect thing. So it's kind of hard to figure that out. So how is that experience like? Has it helped you or hindered you when you do perform with tracks?
It hasn't hindered me, but it made me understand that the thing that I'm working with is a perfect thing now, and it's always going to stay the same, and there's going to be that consistent the whole way through. But yeah, it hasn't really helped me. I guess it has in that terms of like understanding it, but it didn't hinder me at all, because like I've been doing it for so long, so I'm used to it. But
Right.
understanding that there's a bit of catch up if you wanna play with it, and you don't have as much space to play with it. So it's just a really almost feels a bit bland going back sometimes.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So let the people know like what's coming up, what's next.
What is next?
Let us know. Is there anything that you're allowed to tell, or is it still a secret?
Not too secretive, but there's no dates or anything. Working on a project with a friend of mine who goes by the name of Maj. So we're working on that. That's gonna be mid 2022 ish. You know,
Okay.
tentatively working on like another Kxng Wooz project. Yeah, just going forward. Really trying to work with the band as much as possible to see what we can come up with this year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2022. I started a good rollout with the feature with Frantic, so that was good. That if you haven't heard that, it's called Swim. Frantic featuring Kxng Wooz and Maj. That's a really dope track. And yeah, I'm just excited just to get going and putting more music back out and getting back out in front of live crowds, because it seems like we're getting there, getting close. So yeah, that's what's coming
Yeah,
for
it
me.
seems that way. I can't wait till everything opens back up again. I feel like there's a lot of energy just like bursting at the seams.
Yeah,
And so
there
I think it'll be
definitely is.
dope. Well, Kxng Wooz, it's always a pleasure. Let the people know, where can they find you on social media and all that jazz. Where's your music at? Let them know so that they know.
Well, you can find me on social media at Kxng Wooz on Instagram, KXNG space WOOZ. And my music is on Bandcamp, kxngwooz.bandcamp.com. No I, that's an X in King. So yeah, that's where you can find my music. You can also find it on all streaming platforms. But if you go to Bandcamp, you actually get to support me. So that's what I'm telling you.
Big facts. Big facts.
Support your friends.
Dope. All right. Well, it's so good to have you. I mean, it's always a pleasure.
No, it's great hanging out with you. I miss you already. Like, you're gone, and I miss you already.
I know, man. I miss home. You know, it's different. Here is different, but I still, my Scotian roots here, trying to hold it down.
Please do, because let them know. Down home, baby.
Down home will always be like my favorite place ever. But, just trying to make my way so I can come back and, do what I can, you know. You and I can work together. I think that, since we're talking about community, I think it's great that there's so many people home who all want to do something for our own music community, and they're just finding their own ways to do it. And right now I'm just here trying to be cultivated by the best in the business so I can come back and help other people and do more. We deserve the best of the best. And so I'm just trying to steal some and bring it back.
That's what you gotta do.
What you have to do, man. So one day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah, no, I'm excited for you because, you deserve that opportunity. You work really hard. And
Thank you.
I know people are impressed down there by you already, so.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. This is good. Y'all, you should just watch his performance on the Orange Corner. Okay, March 12th. It's coming. Ooh, get ready.
You're for a treat now.
Get your snacks, get your chips, get whatever you got to get and enjoy it. Kxng Wooz, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to see you on the 12th.
Thank you. See you on the 12th.